to commemorate and say thank you to all the veterans that have served for New Zealand. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Annette King.
Mr Speaker, as you have already heard in this House, Labor supports this bill, and now we are on the final stages of its passage, and it will be welcomed by many New Zealanders, veterans, the community, particularly the local community here in Wellington. And this bill has had strong local support from those who live in the direct vicinity, but also from around Wellington in general, but also I think from around New Zealand, wanting to have a place that we could call a National War Memorial Park. And this bill will enable the completion of it by 2015 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Gallipoli. But as the Minister said in his third reading speech, it will also be a place where we can commemorate other conflicts that New Zealand has been involved in. And there are a number coming up, 70th commemorations. One of those that would have been nice to have been able to commemorate, had it been built earlier, was the Battle for Crete. And I was fortunate to represent our country at the 65th anniversary of the Battle of Crete. It was a most moving occasion, but very few people can actually go to Crete to commemorate that battle. Most New Zealanders will never be able to go there, so I was privileged. But being able to go to a place like a National War Memorial and be able to commemorate with others who were there and their families and their grandchildren, I think will be a really significant part of this new park. It's a little bit like going to the Ataturk Memorial, and the Minister in his speech, and in fact actually, no, it wasn't the Minister in his speech, it was actually something that Helen Clark said at the time that she proposed this park. She said it would be a place where other countries could actually have memorials and be able to commemorate events that were being in partnership or with New Zealand. And that is why I mentioned the Ataturk Memorial in my electorate. If you have not been there on Anzac Day, I suggest that you do. It is the most moving service that you can go to, and it is a relationship between Turkey and New Zealand. And I'm told that the spot where it's been built is very like Anzac Cove, and it has got a very spiritual feeling about it. But this new National War Memorial Park will mean that other countries will be able to put up memorials as well. This bill wasn't without some debate as to the process that was being used for the establishment of this park. Because it does remove appeals under a number of acts, and there is the use of order in council. And I understand concerns that members have about the use of order in council and proper process. But I did say in my speeches that it would have been really good if we had had complete agreement across this House for the establishment of this park. Unfortunately, the Greens decided to oppose it, and to me that was a little bit like having a bob each way. They were in favour of it, but they opposed it. Where it would have been, on this occasion, for something as significant as this, that was not going to cause a huge problem because there was so much community support for it, it would have been good if we'd had unanimous support across the Parliament. And maybe even at this late stage, the Greens might like to consider supporting this bill at the third reading. Why I think they can have some confidence in what's been put in place are the safeguards that have been put in place at the Select Committee, and I understand the Greens were very constructive at the Select Committee in helping to put those safeguards in place. And having done that, and having done the best job possible, then I would have thought that it is now in a position where, putting aside their overwhelming principle, that they could then support this bill. Because this does not happen very often, and if you look at what this is about, then I think that maybe this was an occasion when they could have put aside their objection. I think the safeguards of a review panel that is able to scrutinise the Order in Council and report to the Parliament every 6 months is a very good one. Also, Parliament can disallow the Order in Councils within 12 sitting days. That means the power still comes back here to the Parliament. Also, they're putting in place a community committee that is able to be involved in the design of the park, to involve those local people who would be affected. And that is something that they were very keen to see happen, and I'm glad that it has now become part of this project. This is a really good idea, and I do want to pay a tribute to the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, the Right Honourable Helen Clark. She had a passion, a burning passion, to ensure that we did remember those men and women who had fought in many conflicts on behalf of New Zealanders. And over her years as Prime Minister, there were a number of things that she did to ensure that our old soldiers were recognised. One of them, of course, was the return of the unknown warrior and the tomb of the unknown warrior. And it was a wonderful occasion for New Zealand and for this Parliament when the body of the unknown warrior was brought back to New Zealand and lay in state here in Parliament, and then was taken on Armistice Day down to where the park will be. And it was estimated over 100,000 people lined the street to see the body go past. It was a very moving ceremony, but it showed the depth of feeling that New Zealanders have towards those who have paid the price to ensure that we have democracy and free speech and freedom in this country. So I do want to say thank you to the former Prime Minister, but also to acknowledge belatedly this government has picked up the idea. I think it's a shame that we waited so long. Money was allocated for this park. I was Minister of Transport at the time. Along with Helen Clark, the Minister of Art and Culture, we announced $10.9 million in 2007 for this park. It was then stopped after the election, and nothing happened for a long time. In fact, it was a piece of land that lay there bare and an old fence around it and lots of paper bags and plastic bags blowing across it. Finally, a decision was made to proceed. Well done. I'm glad it is proceeding. It will be opened in April 2015, and I hope at that time we can all come together and commemorate what is going to be a very significant project for all New Zealanders. So, Mr. Speaker, we strongly support this bill and look forward to its completion with as much speed as possible.
Gareth Hughes.
Kia ora, Mr. Speaker. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou kia ora.